Record highs does continue. You have Bank Nifty as well, which is trading above the 45,000 level, as well as if you see in terms of the Sensex as well, did manage to cross the 65,000 mark. In terms of the Nifty as well, above the 19,300 levels. So good day of trade. And with this, you have the HDFC twins as well, which are trading at a 52-week high. So good breakout coming in on both these names. To discuss more in terms of the movers and shakers of trade today, Ashish Kapur from CEO of InveShoppe joins in. Ashish, good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me over.
Always a pleasure. Ashish, before we get into stock specific action, Bank Nifty has broken out above those 45,000 levels. Again, a lot of support coming in from the HDFC twins and a good show with IndusInd Bank in today's session. You have Nifty, which is above the 19,300 mark. And apart from that, you have the Sensex, which has crossed the 65,000 milestone also in today's session. How are you looking at it and what would you have to say?
Well, I think indices can easily go much higher because if you look at it, I mean, today I think after a long time, we are finally seeing HDFC Bank coming back, on its own and gaining traction. There are plenty other large cap stocks which are in a similar kind of situation. So, HDFC Bank, of course, is a big heavyweight. There's also another heavyweight Reliance, which also has been consolidating for the last 3 years in kind of a broad range between, you can say, 21,200 to about 27,800. That also stock is kind of consolidating for the last 3 years. The way HDFC Bank has been consolidating between 1680, I think, on the upside and 15 or 1480 on the downside. Same way Reliance also has been doing. There's another very heavyweight which can, help the indices move higher. Besides that, all the frontline IT stocks, Infosys, TCS, Wipro, HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, they've also done nothing much in the last, almost 2 years. They have been kind of negative to sideways kind of a consolidation which they're going through. Again, if the results do surprise us on the positive side, results are about to come for the IT majors. So if they do surprise us, that can be another trigger. So there are plenty of triggers to take us higher, and I don't think one should get overwhelmed by this optical figure looking very high. I think the markets still have a lot of steam to go. Good thing is that the momentum is now picking up after we have broken out of that 18,600, 18,700 range where we were normally picking out. So I think in the very near term also, unless some very unexceptional thing happens, I think markets are heading higher. I think you just have to write the correct stocks and also good time to get rid of something in your portfolio which was dud or which was a low quality, non-research kind of idea. Move into better stocks. But I think overall the market, especially the better stocks, have a lot of steam left. I think there's plenty of more room on the upside, and I think within July also we could head much higher. I think from here itself, despite the level, July itself can be a phenomenal return month even from these levels.
Right. Now, moving from here on, let's look at the banking counters itself. What would you advise an investor who's holding a HDFC to do and an HDFC Bank, number one? And would you advise fresh entry at current levels to gain the benefits of the merged entity?
Yeah, I think you can still buy. I think although it is of course is up today, but you can still go ahead and buy. And like I said, I think if you look at it, it has underperformed the market over the last 3 years, maybe even more. So it's very unusual for HDFC and HDFC Bank to do that. I think there were concerns obviously about the merger, and the merger has produced a huge mammoth entity. So I'm not saying it's something which will multiply very easily. It's a very huge stock, so obviously it will have its kind of a weight going forward. So weight will be huge, so the movement will be slow. But it's a very safe, very safe stock for an investor to be in. It's too big an entity, very well managed. We all know about the conservative practices which both HDFC and HDFC Bank have done. And they have a very aggressive expansion plan. I mean, look at the expansion which they plan to do in terms of expansion, in terms of the number of branches which HDFC Bank wants to add this year and the next few years. and the kind of leverage which they get having HDFC along with them in the same company is a huge potential. I think a very limited downside risk and very huge potential on the upside. Again, like I said, it may not be very fast moving, but for any investor, its safety also is a concern. So the risk reward is extremely favorable. So I think even despite the run up today, it looks a very good stock to buy in your portfolio.
Right. Moving on, you're seeing some good traction in terms of IndusInd Bank in today's session. In fact, last couple of trading sessions as well. Good momentum on the derivative side. How are you looking at an IndusInd Bank?
Well, I think a lot of positive things have been happening with IndusInd Bank. One, of course, is the recent partnership which they have done with TransferWise on multi-partner remit platform. So, like that, they have been doing various additions to their services and various forging very nice, useful partnerships. Overall, also the revenue has been going up for the last 8 quarters, and return on equity has significantly improved. So, one of the better managed banks has again gone through some kind of a corrective phase, and I think looks very good now for a fresh up move. So stay invested, and in fact, you could even buy more at these levels.
Right. So that's with regards to where IndusInd Bank goes. Moving on, you have the auto companies that have reported numbers. Now, clearly, Hero Motor has seen a degrowth from the two-wheeler space on a YTD 1 year as well as a month-on-month basis. Simultaneously, if you see in terms of Bajaj Auto, the pain point has been the export side of it. Passenger vehicles, CV, all of them. How are you looking at the auto sales numbers for the month of June, and what would your view be?
Well, I think auto overall, yes, there will be some exceptions like Hero Motocorp you pointed out, but overall, auto looks to be in a very, very sweet spot. I think Tata Motors, Maruti, they are doing very well, and I think we look at the sheer waiting time for booking one of your favorite cars that tells you the whole story. I think Tata Motors has got its act together very well. So has Mahindra to a large extent, and Maruti continues to roll on. So I think these three companies still look very good and can be easy candidates for buying at any decline. The other or two-wheeler thing seems to be somewhat hitting a roadblock. I think especially Hero Motocorp seems to be going through a further pain. So avoid that. I think focus more on the four-wheelers. I think four-wheelers, all three of them look very good. Tata Motors, Maruti, and Mahindra. All three look very good even at this stage.
Right. So that's with regards to where the auto sales numbers go. Moving on, UltraTech Cement came up with their quarterly update, and clearly the volume growth that they've seen does indicate there is a probability of a market share gain that we could see with regards to where UltraTech Cement goes. What's your view on the cement companies and your advice on UltraTech?
Well, cement is again no brainer, is doing very well. The kind of construction which is going on, both on the infra as well as the housing and other segments. And cement is getting its pricing power back. Volumes are also improving. And again, it's a commodity which cannot be, affected by the international movement. So that way, it's a very domestic demand focused commodity. And so doing well means it continue to do well, at least in the near foreseeable future. And I think UltraTech, of course, doing very well. The profits have been going up, very low debt, very nicely managed company. The other stock, I think, if you look at the value, of course, UltraTech, I would still go ahead and say that you can buy and you can even, continue to hold on or buy more. But the other stock, which looks very interesting, is ACC in this segment. I mean, ACC has moved, but done relatively less than the other majors. And ACC looks very good value pick at this point of time. In fact, I did mention about the IT majors. I think another stock which one can easily buy without any the downside risk and huge potential upside is ACC. I think doing very well and will get the benefit of the cement prices, and it has not moved much.
Right. So that's with regards to where the cement companies go. Now, moving on, how are you looking at a Mazgon? Because clearly, the shipping companies were seeing a lot of traction. They have an order win as well from the government. What's your view?
Well, Mazgon has been one of the better, performing stocks in the shipping space. Very strong EPS growth and effectively using the capital very well. Return on equity has been improving the last 2 years. ROA has also improved. So both net profit and margins have improved. So I think it's a good stock to continue to hold on for. I think revenues are also going up smartly. I think it will do well, continue to do well. So hold on here also. Hold on to the stock here also.
Right. So that's with regards to where Mascon goes. Moving on, we've seen leadership changes happen at L&T Finance. Ashish, what is your view, and do you see a change in strategy? And what would your view be on midcap IT? Sorry, on an L&T Finance, I beg
Midcap
your pardon.
finance. Yeah. So I think L&T Finance was a rank underperformer till some time back. The story was not folding properly, but the management has correctly, started focusing on their strengths. They have got out of all the unrelated assets and businesses which they were in. More focus and more visibility on return growth. Both net profit and margins have been improving, and cash generation has very strongly improved. So stock also has given a breakout. So I think it is going to join the other NBFCs now, and looks very good. I think it should even, despite run up, is still looking very good for a buy, even with these current levels. You at the current levels.
Right. So that's with regards to L&T. What about a GHCL? Because a GHCL has clearly seen where, the investors have voted against Sanjay Dalmia. And, I mean, how are you looking at that aspect of GHCL?
Well, chemical is a good space to be in, and GHCL has been doing very well. I mean, you look at the EPS, look at the ROs, return on capital, return on equity, on all parameters, the stock has been doing very well and improving. So again, I think chemicals is a good space, and GHCL has plenty of scope on the upside. I would say that this also seems to be a pretty good stock to be in.
Right. So that's with regards to where GHCL goes. Moving on, you have tire companies which have been trading under pressure today. JK Tyre, Apollo Tyre, both these names. How are you looking at it? Because recently we also had a MRF which hit record high levels. In fact, became the first stock to trade at a 1 lakh number in terms of the stock price. How are you seeing the tire industry in tandem with what's happening with the auto space?
Well, I think maybe today they are a bit under pressure, but JK Tyre, Apollo Tyre, they have done very well. In fact, they've been ranked outperformers. And yes, the auto space, the underlying demand in the auto space is a big encouragement to them. And I think uh, they'll continue to do very well, because I think consolidation has happened in a big way in the industry. And I think despite the run up, I think Apollo Tyre looks quite good. I think if you really have to focus, I mean, I would think JK Tyres also is doing well and moved up, but the focus should be on Apollo Tyres, where the consolidation is happening in a very good way, and I think Apollo Tyres still has more scope to go, and that is the stock which you should focus on. And I would say, despite the run up, still looks quite good. Certainly a hold at these levels, and if it does decline due to any market weakness, then Apollo should be accommodated on declines.
Right. So that's with regards to the tire companies as a whole. Thank you, Ashish, so much for joining us on the show and sharing those views on the movers and shakers in trade today. But clearly, a good day for the markets overall so far. And if you see in terms of where stocks go, BPCL, one of the top gainers, HDFC 2% up move. UltraTech is seeing some smart moves. Tata Steel and Grasim also up in trade. Pressure building in terms of auto counters, specifically the two-wheelers. Bajaj Auto, Hero Motor trading under pressure. Tech M is down, as well as the Nestle, which is down around 0.9%. So overall, if you go to see clearly stock-specific action, but a good support coming in from the financials as well to Nifty in today's session. And it's a historic day with SGX Nifty, which has now been rebranded as, a gift nifty. And we've been just talking to a lot of people where what could it actually become, whether people will actually start calling it gifty, gitty. That was one of the recommendations that came in from Deepan as well when we spoke to him this morning, very similar to what happened and the way Sensex was coined overall. But overall, a good day of trade so far for the markets. That's all that we have on this session. Thanks for watching, and lots more lined up on the other side. Please stay tuned to Biki Prime.